As you know, the wooden car project has been reduced to a 3-wheel vehicle by regulation of the state. Eamon Ryan, our transport minister, kindly got back to me by email to clarify the law, and yes, it's true in Ireland, 3 wheels good, 4 wheels bad. I did point out that 4-wheeled e-bikes are allowed in other European countries, and obviously they are not necessarily any wider or faster or more powerful than a trike, which are legal, so there's no logical reason why they're not allowed here. And Minister Ryan said they will be looked at in the next round of updates, whenever that will be. So at least I know where we are now, and I appreciate that he got back to me so quickly. Would your transport minister do the same thing? That's one of the many good things about living in a tiny country. Anyway, as I illustrated in the last video, designing an e-trike isn't the same as designing an e-quad. Many people helpfully pointed out that I was doing it all wrong. Thanks very much. I could see that for myself. The point I was trying to make is that I can't just take one wheel off my car design and expect it to work in the same way. Most people said that in order to go around corners without turning over, which would be nice, I should lower the centre of gravity and move it forwards. In short, that I should build a recumbent trike. Of course, they are right, except I'm not trying to build a recumbent trike. They already exist. Super fast, lovely machines, if you don't mind lying down, looking at your knees with your feet acting as the front bumper. I'm trying to build a car, not a 40-mile-an-hour bed. But there's another interesting solution to the problem of cornering, which almost everyone missed, and that's to raise the centre of gravity so the driver sits higher up, much like on a 2-wheeler. And that design works because leaning over when you're that high up moves your weight by enough to keep that inner wheel on the ground. But again, I don't want to build an old-style tricycle. They already exist too. In fact, many years ago, I owned one of those and took my children to school on it every day, and we never once tipped over, but we did get wet sometimes. So I could go up and I could go down, but I don't want to do either of those. I'm making a car, not a bed and not a bike. So how can I make cornering safer? After all, as many of you pointed out, Morgan made 3-wheeled racing cars, so it must be possible. Well, of course, they solved the problem by putting half a ton of engine between the front wheels. Yep, that'll work. My plan is really simple. Take the front suspension away altogether and move it to the back instead, and stiffen up the whole structure so there's less flex in everything, and see if that works. Because the seat is staying where it is, near the back wheel, I'm hoping that giving that wheel suspension will be enough for a comfortable ride, remembering that this is not an off-road bike and we won't be going very fast in it. Part of the reason for suspension with 4 wheels is to keep them all on the road at the same time, but that's never a problem for tricycles except for cornering sharply, so let's hope this works. I had to do something about the back wheel support anyway. There are a lot of forces on it. This was just cheapy 9mm ply, which just won't do, even for experimentation. Not good. So I cut another stronger set out of marine ply, except just around about here, the CNC machine stopped working properly. It never does that, so I was surprised. It turned out one of the drivers that controls the stepper motors had died. I've ordered a couple of replacements, but they're coming in from Germany, so in the meantime I borrowed one from my plasma cutter, so eventually I was able to finish the cut. Handy. The new wheel support is just a really simple 3-way triangulation frame. The shape is simple but also strong and rigid, as long as the ply you use doesn't fall apart. I use door hinges to attach it to the main frame, so there's opportunity to add suspension later on. It's arranged at this angle, tipping down towards the hub, so the chain can pass underneath it and I don't have to thread it through any holes. I replaced the front support beam and springs with a fixed square of ply. That just stops the suspension arms from moving upwards. It's a temporary job. If this works, I'll have to redesign the front beam altogether. And to reduce the amount of twist there is in the whole frame, I added 2 sides of 6mm ply. Again, these are just temporarily fixed. I'm using fillets of wood to secure them for now, so I don't damage the ply too much. Of course, to really work properly, these will need glue and more triangulation and attachments, and those will be determined by the overall design, which I haven't decided on yet. In the meantime though, they do stiffen everything up quite a lot. Of course they add weight too, but once they're fixed I should be able to remove some of the central wooden spine, and I'll need cutaways too to make it easier to get in. As I say, this is all just an experiment to see whether we can keep those wheels on the ground when cornering. So let's try it out. Yes, there is still flex, but it's mostly in the tyres actually, also in this frame, but much better than before. No back suspension yet either, but so far so good. Let's put Ashley in it and test it on the fastest corner available. That's at the far end of our track. As you come off the road and turn up to our house, the camber works against you, so this is a really good test of road holding ability. Excellent! We could do with some more gears. In fact, we could do with an electric motor too, but that's coming soon, I hope. So the next step is to set up the back suspension properly, and if things still work then, I think we could go ahead and make this into a smart little car. But you tried hard, but you couldn't tip it over. What do you think?
It'll start, isn't it?
Yes, just 3 wheels, but still a car of sorts, and not a bike and not a bed. Now, before you go, I just want to say thank you to Johnny, who designed some parts for a differential, which sadly we won't need now. He printed them out and sent them to me because he lives in Scotland, and a few weeks later they turned up, but not here. They turned up back at Johnny's house in Scotland. Brexit troubles, I guess. Frustrating for everyone. Anyway, thank you, Johnny. They look fantastic from here. I'll put a link in the description to his website so you can see what else he makes. In the meantime, I can get back to cleaning garlic and replacing the fascia boards on the front of our house and thinking about the next step in this project. Talk soon. Bye for now.